I'm so glad you called me up here because I have so much energy running through me that it's overwhelming.
Overwhelming energy is a bit of a wobble.
Yes. So
that's worth thinking about, isn't it?
Yes. Well, also coffee with chocolate might have a little bit of an effect. Adrenaline, happiness, this overwhelming love.
So how much benefit is there in the word overwhelming? When you say overwhelming, does it add to the wobble or decrease the wobble? Interesting, isn't it? Not that your words can necessarily change anything, but your understanding of in reaching for. So you can say that better. Wouldn't you like to say it better? We know you want to say it better because you know we'll get after you if you don't. I know I'm in a good place. Otherwise, that's why I got called on. I must have been enough imbalance that I got called in.
It's as if I have this beautiful channel of energy, which we all have, that comes into my being. I would like to tell you a story that I was listening to one of your movies, and I was just in my closet, and I started to cry. And this has happened to me before, but it's not a cry like, oh, what's going on? Like, it's this most beautiful love. And I'm like, what's
crying is always releasing resistance every single time.
Thank you so much for that. And a voice spoke to me and says, Melissa, you know you're never have been normal. As if I've always been very perceptive. And it says to me, I have to take responsibility. And since
Who said that to you?
This voice.
Don't listen to that voice.
Okay.
Well, you're translating it. You're translating it through a little bit of wobble.
Okay.
But you don't have to take responsibility. In other words, that's a little dictatorial.
Okay.
And your inner being is never telling you what you're doing wrong, that you should be doing differently, always calling you toward what you're wanting. But because there's a little bit of wobble in it, you're translating it that way.
Okay.
In the early days, Jerry and Esther had friends that the only people that knew about the weirdness of Abraham in those early days. And they were living in Phoenix at the time, and they decided to play a game where they would their friends would go hide, and then Jerry and Esther would use Abraham to come and find them. And the city of Phoenix was 50 miles this way and 50 miles that way. It was a huge area. And they said, go anywhere in the city and we will come and find you. And so Esther in those days, Esther was not receiving us verbally in this way. It was impulses. She was getting this through the typewriter and so forth. And she would say to Jerry, they would come to an intersection and Jerry would say, which way? And Esther would say, it's not that way. Which meant it's that way, but Esther was translating it about the way it wasn't rather than the way it was. And it really is sort of splitting hairs because the impulse, you're the one that is translated into the what it isn't, but your inner being is always guiding you toward what it is, always, 100% of the time, every time.
So when you start to sort of, for example, leaving here yesterday, I live in Cancun, and I went to give a sound meditation. And I love doing this. It's such a beautiful journey that I am joining with someone, and I want to make sure that I'm doing it correctly. I mean, I just sort of surround the person with so much love, and then I take them to this place of source within the galaxy and the universe, and I just tell them, I kind of let them just kind of bathe in that existence of themselves, and when they come back, they're just like, you know, yesterday a young guy came to me because he was chosen. And I just said to him, do you feel lucky? And he says, yes. And I said, well, I want you to bathe in this beautiful existence that you have. And I guess my point of this conversation is I said, I used to not speak this way. You understand what I mean? And I just, now I have a TV program after I got this, things happened to me, and now the TV program is going to go nationally, and it's going to be on international television. Thank you. And I have so much information coming to me, and I want to be able to...
Well, first, let us say to you...
Figure out how to say it.
The information doesn't come to you if you're not ready to say it. So if it's coming to you, and if it feels good to you, that's all that matters. When you receive it and when you say it, then everything's in alignment. There's no wobble.
And to close, I'm learning closing this gap between feeling like the bizarre person that has these things I have to say, and believing that the people are going to think I'm weird.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to amplify well-being.
Well, I mean, it seems that everyone wants to feel...
Isn't that interesting? Everyone wants to feel good.
Yes.
And yet, some have too big of a wobble to go easily into what feels good.
Yes.
And so that's what this room full of teachers is all about. You just help yourself and then help others to...
So I just put out the information because this is what has come to me, and those
because
who...
you have to express
I have
who
to
you
express
are from
who I
your
am.
alignment, yes.
Correct, thank you very much. And those who want to be on this frequency will turn into it, and those who don't will, like you said, maybe it will be in their drawer and they'll pick it up one day. And
as you tend singularly and specifically to your own alignment and allow everything else to follow its natural path, then their unreadiness will not cause you to wobble. If you don't take responsibility for how they receive, then you'll stay steady.
love it.
Yeah.
I hope one of my friends took notes. I think that's all.
You won't forget that because that's what you came to hear.
And I've had this conversation with you so many times, and I have it written down, and I said I will be called at the correct moment. And I just feel such an overwhelming, well, it's not overwhelming. I have so much love.
I am up to speed with the exhilaration that I feel about all of this. I was born for this. My trajectory has been in place for a very long time. I've been feeling my way along my path for a long time and knowing the rightness of my path. That's the reason that it was so undeniable for me. And while I'm embarking on something that feels bigger, it doesn't feel any less steady because it's a path that I'm so well acquainted with. I know what the path feels like. And when you are comfortable on your path, it doesn't matter where it leads.
It could lead to a forest by myself. Thank you so much.
Yeah.